It's playtime! Hey kids, it's me, Quackerjack. Woohoo! I hate to support that demented duck and say that you're listening to St. Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast. But it's better than playing Whittle Boy. Besides, Mr. Banana Brain says it's really a great show, Joe.
Boy, do we have a treat for y'all today. We got an episode we're going to review today that no one's ever seen. You might have heard of it, seen the title card. It's called The Triumphant Triumph of Darkwing Duck. Welcome to the St. Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast. I'm your host, Will Santana, and...
I'm Mike Russo, and Will Santana thought he was safe. But he was wrong!
How's it going, Mike, man?
Great. This is a big one. This is a big one.
This is my baby. This is my favorite of 91 episodes. But Mike, we can't really pre-talk because we got a special treat for them today, man.
Yeah, we do. We definitely do. What's our treat today, Will?
Oh, man, we got an interview with Dev Ross, a behind the scenes or behind the script, as we should say, interview of this episode. You want to go ahead and jump into it?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hear it.
All right, so I'm here with writer Dev Ross, and we about to get a little bit behind the scenes of my favorite episode of Darkwing Duck, The Haunting of Mr. Banana Brain. Hey, Dev, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great. How are you?
I'm doing good. This is my baby. I'm super duper excited. If I could, I'd be doing backflips right now, cartwheels and everything. Can you just give us a little bit of information about the Haunting Mr. Banana Brain, like going from Quackerjack to the Jack in the Box and bringing out this spooky guy who a lot of people reference from the It movie?
You want insight?
Insight, please.
Well,
this is my baby.
I think it has more to do with the Jack in the Box. Mm-hmm. And I always thought that Jack in the Boxes were creepy. Dun, 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 dun. They were just really creepy. Mm-hmm. And with horror movies gaining popularity at that time, I mean, now they're just ridiculous. People love horror movies, and usually the worse the horror movie, the cheesier it is, the more they like it. Mm-hmm. And that's now though. But back then, I was just always fascinated with a lot of times children's toys and how creepy they could be. And I just thought the Jack in the Box was really creepy. And so to make it a haunted Jack in the Box and then being pulled inside the world of the Jack in the Box, that just all really intrigued me. Now you mix that with the Rashomon, mm-hmm. Two people telling their version of the story, it just made it much more interesting because, scary Jack in the Box, one thing, going inside, okay, I could see it. But when you have two people telling their version of the story, then it becomes more interesting. We're in the story, we're out of the story. So that's why I like the episode so much. It was just so much fun to write because we were writing it from so many different points of view.
The framing device and the narration is a big reason that episode works so well.
Yeah. And the other thing is that one of the things that I learned while at Disney is that every villain is the hero of their own story.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Yeah, I can see that.
And when you look at those villains, they really play it. They're evil, but they're really playing it from their point of view of really needing to get what they need to get, right?
Mm-hmm. There's a really great line of Quackerjacks in that episode, mm-hmm. and he says, Darkwing Duck always wins. It isn't a big deal. It's just part of the game. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that the villains having their own narrative where they're the hero, that
Right.
really applies to Quacker Jack, because he always thinks he's doing a good job and he's everyone's hero because he's trying to sell toys and stuff. That
Right.
definitely fits him.
Right. So that was one of the principles that I used in writing it, was that each of these bad guys in this, you know, the Paddywack character needs to feed. He needs to eat. You know, he needs what he needs. And just like, is it a bad thing that I need food? You know, is it a bad thing that, you know, it's just a point of view, right? And so all of these characters have what I liked about the episode so much, what I like about the episode is that each one of these, the villains and our heroes, have a really strong point of view, except for LP, Launchpad's just kind of going, well, you know, well, whose version is it? You know, he's just the audience. He's going along for the ride, where each of these other literally 4 characters are telling what happened according to them.
Yeah, Launchpad's kind of the audience surrogate. He's scared.
Yeah, exactly. He's well said. He's the audience surrogate, just experiencing this while they each tell their point of view of the story. So it starts off with a Rashomon with just Darkwing and his daughter. Goslin, thank you. You know, it's just, you know, their point of view, and then it becomes the villain's point of view as well, and they're just trying to get what they need, and they're the heroes of their own story. So their perspective, I would have loved to have told it from each one of the villains' characters' point of view. Then it would have really been interesting. But you can only do so much in 22 minutes. So that's why I like this episode so much, is it just really got to play with all those things. They're very sophisticated, and yet, you know, kind of worked, I guess.
Now, when you were writing this episode, did you feel like we have something here, like this is going to be one of the top dogs? Because when I talked amongst other fans, this is either number 1 for them, or it's easily in their top 5. Like, this is easily top 5. This is a tier 1 episode. Everyone brings up this episode. Now, it's not Mike's favorite episode, and I think the majority goes toward where Mike's favorite episode is, but the other, I think this is it. If it ain't
I still love it. Love it. Let me be clear. I still think this is a fantastic episode.
Well, you know, I don't know. When you're writing it, I think the thing is that every episode I ever wrote was the best episode. You know, you have to fall in love with it. I worried about this one because Rashomons are, you know, they're not everybody understands it. They're tricky, but at this point in the show, I just thought you got to risk it. And so, yeah, it was really fun. And it was really fun to go back to the narrative. Now, did I think it was going to be a great show or not? I don't know. I think I was just really trying to offer myself a challenge and the fans something different.
Yeah, having Phil Hartman on that one doesn't hurt either.
Yeah. That doesn't hurt at all.
Oh yeah, the voice actors had such a good time.
Now I got one last question, Dev, because I don't want to hold you too long. What made you go from like Quacker Jack to Banana and then Paddywack? Like, you really emphasized these 3 villains, and like at some point all 3 kind of take over the episode.
What made me emphasize that?
Yeah.
Well, I think a little bit of what I said before is villains have their point of view. They have their needs. They want to be heard. And I just thought it was a great opportunity to see their point of view and to I don't know, did you kind of understand what they wanted so badly?
Yeah. I mean, that episode, I mean, I don't want to spoil it because we're going to get into that part in the review. So, but it's just, I just love it because it's like Quacker Jack is my favorite villain. And then you hit next with his lackey. You got Mr. Banana Brain, who a lot of people love as well. and he kind of steals the show for a few minutes. And then we get Paddywack, where everybody just falls in love with Paddywack. So it's like it hits stages. Like you got your favorite, and then you get the lackey, and then we get Paddywack, a new character who just dominates. And like most people don't even talk about Darkwing or Gosling on this episode, or even Launchpad. They're talking about the villains. This is like a villain takeover episode.
Yeah, and sometimes just private. Sometimes Disney really had trouble with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to add one thing I think about is great about the episode is you guys did something in that one that no other Disney show did. You started without an opening title card for the episode title.
Yeah.
And you faked out the audience by having Darkwing come up with a different title.
Yeah.
And then Gosling come. No other Disney afternoon show did that.
Yeah.
And it's like even watching it when I was younger, I'm like, that's cool. That's different.
Well, and thank you for getting that, because again, as much as, there was just some powers that be that Disney that would say, you're getting away from the Disney way, or you're getting away from our main characters. And you're getting too much into the ancillary characters, the bad guys. A lot of people would have said that the bad guys were the stars of this show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, they kind of were. But you can only do that if you create really strong base characters. Your star characters can let other characters shine. And so this is something that Tad and I really agreed on, but other people wouldn't feel that way. And so we would get flack for that. But I think it was worth it, because I think we could trust the fans enough to know we'll come back to Darkwing. We'll come back to Launchpad. We'll come back to Gosling. Don't worry. Will have their strong stories. But let somebody else shine for a while, and let's expand this universe.
Mm-hmm. Now, Dev, I don't know how familiar you are with the new DuckTales reboot. And this episode is so strong that everything that's on this episode pretty much carried over to the new DuckTales. Like the first opening scene where Quackerjack comes back, the first thing you see is the Jack in the Box. Mm-hmm. You see his hand turning it, and then Quackerjack pops up. And then later on, there's an episode with Mrs. Beakley and Launchpad where they're watching the show Darkwing Duck, and we get to see Mr. Banana Brain, and he gets possessed, and we get to see a quick shot of Paddywack. So,
I didn't know that. I was for a while watching the new episodes of.
Mm-hmm.
And Mrs. Beakley's trying to make sense of the episode storyline. And Lauren, she's like, wait a minute. So Quackerjack had Banana Brain, and then Paddywack took over Banana Brain. Like, I don't get it. And Launchpad's like, stop, you're messing up the lore.
Yeah, and it's so crazy because Mike saw the shows when they first aired. He's in love with the new DuckTales, and I saw them like about a year later, and he kept telling me, wait till you get to. He named the name of the episode. What was the name of it again, Mike?
Friendship Hates Magic.
Yeah, he kept telling me, wait till you get that episode, Will. You're going to go crazy. When I first got on that episode, I was like, there's no big deal about it. But when it got to that part, I paused the show and blew Mike's phone up like, oh, my God. They brought Banana Brain and Paddywack.
Like, Banana Brain was something that was cute with Quackerjack, but your episode turned Banana Brain into his own character almost. Mm-hmm. Like, if it wasn't for this episode, I don't think people would love the whole Banana Brain gimmick as much. It was just so brilliant the way you guys used him for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it's just because me personally, I give everything voices. I give inanimate objects voices all the time. All my dogs have their own voices. My cat, everything talks. My bed, a chair, my desk, my computer, they all have voices. And because I don't know, maybe I'm a little wacko. So it just seemed obvious to me that the doll should, he should have an opportunity to express himself.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thanks.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. But thank you so much for coming on here and talking with us about The Haunting of Mr. Banana Brain. This is my baby. This is my favorite episode. Like, I could review this episode 20 times, and man, I still discover things new about this episode. I just watch it so much and love it so much. And it was really cool to get your perspective. And it's funny that you mentioned the Jack in the Box because that's something I never talk about with this episode. So that's really cool, to get that from your perspective when you were writing this episode. But
yes, thank you, Dad.
yeah,
Well,
thank you
always,
so much.
the thing that you have to know about the writer is that it starts, with one drop of ink, with one image. And for me, it was the Jack in the Box and how creepy that is, the turning of it. And then the ideas sort of expand from there. Like when I say, in the beginning, then the word. In that episode, in the beginning, it was a Jack in the Box, and I told Tad, something with a Jack in the Box. Got to. And then the ideas flow.
All right, guys. Well, that's Dev Ross, and we got lucky to get her here to talk about The Haunting of Mr. Banana Brain. Guys, tune in to more as me and Mike finish out this episode. All right, thanks, Dev, so much for that interview, man. Mike, it was a treat.
She is amazing. She is amazing.
Yeah, man, she really has some great episodes with Darkwing, but this one for me tops it all. Like,
I know. I know. Oh, believe me, I know.
Oh man, now Mike, we have a lot to discuss on this episode. This is my baby. We got a special voice actor on this one. This is one of Dev's best,
Yes.
in my opinion. Is this your top 10 though? No, come on, Mike.
It really, it's one of those things where it depends on my mood. It might crack it, maybe.
Oh,
it's
we're
a
gonna
good
fight.
one. It's a good one.
Do you think this one's top 10 for most people?
Yeah. I mean, it's come up enough.
Okay.
It's definitely one of the best.
Okay, I'll get into details. You heard some of the things that Dev said, but I'll explain some more toward the end. But man, we got a lot to get into. Let's go ahead and get into our production air date order, man.
Yep. The Haunting of Mr. Banana Brain, which I don't think we actually mentioned it by name yet. I know it came up on the interview, but we haven't mentioned it on our record yet. So, Haunting of Mr. Banana Brain. The air date was Wednesday, April 29th, 1992, and it was 69th by production number. And as we know, of course, Dev Ross wrote this one. Mm-hmm. It was actually another of the dynamic duo. Of course, Dev wrote it, and our story editor was Tad. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, every time we see Dev, we're going to see Tad. They go together now, like peanut butter and jelly. That's how it is. And the animation is Han-Ho Huang up again. Much, much better than Quack of Ages, that's for sure. I think this is their best one so far. Definitely, they do a really good job with this. A couple of Orange Hand Quackerjacks sneak in there. If you know where to look, but it doesn't ruin the episode. It's very well done. They're definitely the best so far.
Oh, yeah.
Any particular moments of animation that stood out for you?
Lots, man. The shadows, oh man, one of them I can't say, it's a spoiler.
The animation gets better as it goes on.
Oh yeah, definitely, man.
Before we start the plot, can we talk about the voice actor first?
Let's do that. We gotta
handle
honor
that.
him. Yeah, let's handle it.
We have to honor him because I would say this episode features one of the best Darkwing voice actors, guest actors of all time. Probably just as high up there as Tim Curry. In this episode, we have the late, great Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman, man, it hurts to talk about Phil Hartman. This guy was amazing. He was on Saturday Night Live for over a decade. He was a frequent guest voice on The Simpsons for most of the 90s. He voiced Troy McClure and Lionel Hutz. I loved him on The Simpsons. Yeah. He guest voiced on a lot of cartoons. Dennis the Menace, Ducktales, Smurfs, Tailspin, Tom and Jerry Kids, Animaniacs, Ren and Stimpy. He was a really great man. He's one of those people who you never heard negative things about. Like, everybody loved him. He was so fantastic. He was so funny. Unfortunately, he married crazy, basically. Yeah. And let's not go into the grisly details, but, he passed away in 1998. His wife took his life and her own. I'll never forget the day I found that out. He was a really great comedian, and he is still missed. And he does a fantastic job with our guest villain in this episode. Really fantastic.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
I also loved him in Jingle All the Way, man. Playing the villain, the next door neighbor. Oh, he was awesome.
Oh yeah, we watched that right before
Yeah.
Christmas. When we were wrapping presents, like Christmas Eve, I think we watched it. Good
If
movie.
If you really hate a villain, they did their job, and you hate him in that movie.
He was good. He was
Oh,
really
yeah.
good. He's
Yeah.
he's missed.
Yeah, it's hard to say that he was just a guest on The Simpsons as Troy McClure because like his voice on The Simpsons is just so iconic to me, man.
Yeah, and there was a period in The Simpsons where he showed up a lot, not just as his two characters, but like other characters. So there was a period there where he was on the show a lot. So he is missed on The Simpsons, definitely.
All right.
Really.
Did he do another voice? Because there was another character I heard on this
Yes.
episode that sounded like him. Okay.
On this episode, I'm not sure.
I think he was the dog when they were at the museum.
Oh, possibly.
Yeah, I think that was him.
Okay, it doesn't sound a lot like Jim. It could have been Bell, but it could have been Hartman.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So, okay, where are we at now? Are we into the plot?
We are ready to start talking about the plot.
All right. Let's go ahead and get to it. We got Darkwing. He's at the tower and he wants to tell us a story. And
Yes.
Goss wants to hear the story before she goes to bed.
Yes, this episode does something no other Disney show does. It doesn't start with an episode title at all. You don't see a thing. So yes, Goslin wants a story. What is Darkwing's initial story? What does he start with?
Oh, come on. It's about his ego, man. The triumphant triumph of Darkwing Duck.
I want to relax, not go comatose. So Goslin recommends, and this is really clever, because as Darkwing says the triumphant triumph, the title appears on the screen. But then Goslin says she wants to hear the haunting of Mr. Banana Brain. And what I love about it is the way the word Banana Brain types itself letter by letter on the screen. Really, really clever. How does Darkwing feel about that story?
He's not feeling it one bit, and LP is scared. He don't want to hear it.
LP is terrified.
All right, so then we get our jump scene, right? We go into the museum.
We start our story.
Okay, so we got Goss and LP. They're in the museum. They're just looking around. Goss is upset. Quackerjack shows up.
Yeah.
She's not feeling the museum too much, and he shows up. I think he was stealing toys from the museum. That kind of was weird to me.
Yeah, Goslin's mad because apparently Drake had promised to take her to the whirling water world, but she says he copped out and took her to the museum. And then Drake is like, you should be happy. You love toys. And don't touch them. You might break them. I have to worry about Quackerjack stealing them. And yeah, then Quackerjack shows up and starts stealing the toys.
I thought it was weird, though. Why was he stealing toys from a museum? Was it a toy museum or something?
It was a toy museum, yeah.
Okay.
I love what Quackerjack does when Drake mentions him. Quackerjack looks at the camera and wiggles his eyebrows.
Yeah.
Like, hey, kids, it's me, Quackerjack. I'm here.
All right, so we got Quackerjack. He's stealing, and then Goss, she takes one of those buzzers. They gave it a name. I can't remember the name of it, though.
Not sure. Launchpad notices it's like a vintage model. And Goss is like, yeah, this is great. And she grabs it.
Yeah, and who she goes to poke with it?
She hits Drake right in the butt.
Yeah, and he goes flying high to the ceiling fan.
Yep, and then flies off of that into a giant, like 6-foot tall baby doll.
Yep, and then we finally hear Hartman's voice, but we don't quite see him yet, Mike.
No, there's a Jack in the Box. Goslin had seen it earlier, chained up on a pedestal for some reason. And whoever is in this Jack in the Box is watching the fun and is really enjoying it.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yes. Ooh, tasty. Yeah, and this voice, it's Hartman, right away. And I also love the episode has a kind of a spooky vibe to it. As Goslin narrates, her voice is all echoey, and this is going to go like in a really spooky direction, and I just love it. It's really, really well done. So yeah, keep going, Will. What's going on now?
Yeah, we get Goslin, and she wants to get Drake down by turning on the fan, and he goes flying around. That's when he lands on the doll, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, and Quackerjack over here, Goslin wanting to play video games, and
right.
We know Quackerjack's history with video games.
Oh, yes. He says that's the kind of talk that drove me out of the toy business and into the loony bin.
Yeah.
He
Well,
throws off the trench coat he was wearing.
mhm.
What does he say?
It's playtime.
You know what? I think this might be the last time he says it.
No, don't say that, Mike.
He doesn't have any solo episodes after this.
No.
And I don't think he says it in Jailbird, so this might be the last time he ever says it.
Yeah.
I know it's been fun counting those down.
Don't do me like that. You know he's my baby.
I know. I'm sorry to say it.
All right. So what does Cracker Jack do during playtime?
Well, they start fighting, and Goslin is bored with the fight and starts telling the story super fast, and the animation goes at like 2 times the speed.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Darkwing tells her to slow down, she goes in slow motion, just as he gets bitten by the toy teeth. And he's like, no. And Quacker Jack takes the Nutty Putty again.
Mm-hmm.
This is the 3rd time he's used it. Have you ever played with Silly Putty?
No, I haven't. But it's kind of like slime and stuff, ain't it?
Well, Silly Putty had what you could do with it is you could press it on a newspaper, and when you peeled it off, the newspaper print came off.
Ah, so that's what explains why his face came off.
Yes, because it hits Darkwing in the face, and when Goslin peels it off his face, it takes its face with it, his face. But also, when Darkwing finally appears for the fight, Goslin goes, yeah, Dad did his Darkwing stuff. I am the yo-yo that keeps coming back. Yeah, that's as close as we get to an entrance line in this one.
Yeah, and what's funny is like you mentioned her narrating the stories like with a scary voice, but LP is like he is shook every time she's narrating the story.
Yeah, he can't deal with the story.
Yeah.
He's like, you're not gonna stop, are you?
All right, and then we finally get Paddywack. He's released, but we still don't see him yet. He's just a shadow.
Yeah, the Jack in the Box ended up in Quacker Jack's bag, and he leaves with it. And he takes it back to his hideout. It's like in a building or in like a large skyscraper. And yeah, as Quacker Jack's just hanging out talking about his toys, Paddywack comes out of his Jack-in-the-Box, and you're right, Will. You only see his shadow. But what we do see is creepy enough.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely creepy enough. And he possesses an iconic lackey, man.
Yep, he jumps into Banana Brain's body, and Banana Brain comes to life.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting stuff about Quacker Jack in this episode. We get a really interesting peek into his mental state, because when Banana Brain comes to life, Quacker Jack doesn't seem bothered by it.
Not at all. He's loving it.
He's just like, your voice is different, and that's it. Like, does Quacker Jack think Banana Brain's alive? Like, all the time?
He must have, because he loved his new voice and he was feeling him.
Yeah, it doesn't bother him at all. He's like into it. He's like, let's go have fun. Let's play Demolition Derby on our neighbor's new car. Like Quacker Jack is like really into this, having a real playmate to play with.
Real quick though, Mike, did you notice that doll that Quacker Jack had for the girls was kind of like a little Barbie looking, then it turned into like something scary?
Yeah, it'll make little girls scream. In delight, of course. Quacker Jack really thinks kids like his toys.
Yeah. Well, then Paddywack as Banana Brain, he suggests they go somewhere. Where does he suggest they go?
They go to an arcade, which I'm almost positive this arcade is based on Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
Because there's a giant rat head on the wall, and a lot of the kids are eating pizza. I didn't really go to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid. Did you?
Well, for me, when I was a kid, it wasn't called Chuck E. Cheese. It was called Showbiz.
Yes, I remember Showbiz Pizza. They all eventually became Chuck E. Cheese's.
Yeah.
But I didn't really go very much, but I do remember Chuck E. Cheese. I'm pretty sure this is exactly what this is.
Yeah. What's weird is, though, man, Mike, I used to love the pizza from Showbiz when I was a kid, but when I go there now, take my kids to Chuck E. Cheese, I'm like, man, this pizza's disgusting, man.
Yeah, the pizza's garbage. And I should know. I live in New York.
Oh yeah, New York and Chicago.
New York pizza's the best. Sorry, Chicago, people live in Chicago. New York pizza's the best. That's it. I will not even entertain the idea that it's not. Anyway, Paddywack decides to cause some trouble by pulling pranks on people. hitting them with food, just making everybody miserable. He feeds on misery, basically.
What goes up must cause frowns.
Yeah, he's feeding on misery.
Yeah. And he did something with a hot dog too. He turned them into dogs or something, right?
Yeah, he makes them all go after the it's the same fat pig from the Time and Punishment who was eating the hamburger hippo. It's the same guy, and he scares them off by making the hot dogs come to life.
Yeah, and Quackerjack is loving the new banana brain. He is loving this, but
this Goonie doll is even wackier than me.
Yeah. But then Quackerjack also gets a little jealous though, because he wants in on this fun too.
Well, Paddywack gives him his chance. By the way, he hasn't named himself yet. He actually hasn't called himself Paddywack. We're just doing this to make it easier. But at this point in the episode, he hasn't actually given out his name.
Yeah, he's still in Banana Brain too.
Yeah. So, Drake, Launchpad, and Goslin show up. And by the time they get there, a whole food fight is broken out.
Oh, yeah. Goss is going to go in for that.
Yeah. Drake doesn't want to get involved until he gets hit with a pie. So he comes back as Darkwing.
Yep. And then when he comes back as Darkwing, he's really shocked to see Quackerjack is even there.
Quackerjack goes, "You are expecting the Gulping Gourmet." Michael Bell doing Groucho Marx.
Yeah, you know what? We haven't really talked about Bell, but I love Bell's voice on this episode. Like, he's killing the Quackerjack, man. He's killing the laugh. He's killing the laugh when he jumped off earlier in the museum with the pogo stick.
He on the playground. You know what? Quackerjack's voice has come a long way. If you go back to Whiffle While You Work and watch him here, he's definitely refined this voice. Which makes me sad that we got like 20 some odd episodes left to go, and this is his last solo appearance. I was always so unhappy about that.
Oh, I appreciate that, Mike, man.
Just wait till we get to ABC season 2. You'll hear me vent about it for sure. Anyway, so Darkwing decides to ruin everyone's fun by hitting all the kids with a hose. Did you see that cute shot where Banana Brain pulls on his banana peel and Quackerjack's in the background pulling on his jester hat?
Yeah, I saw that.
So Goslin and Launchpad see Paddywack's shadow come out of Banana Brain for a second. And he jabs Darkwing with the buzzer again and gives it to Goslin and basically pins everything on her.
Oh, yeah. But Launchpad is still scared of this story. He's still he's not feeling it one bit.
Yeah, well, we cut back to the bridge where they're having the story, and Launchpad's like, "Can we just turn on some lights if you're going to finish the story?"
All right, and then we get Quackerjack. He explains how DW always ruined things to Banana Brain.
I love that that's how Quackerjack sees it, that this is literally all just a game, and he knows the game will always end with Darkwing Duck ruining things. He says, Darkwing Duck always ruins things. It's no big deal. It's just part of the game. Yeah. I love that point of view from Quackerjack. It's fun, it's fun for him.
Yep. And Paddywack inside of Banana Brain is upset. He's like, "Don't call me Banana Brain anymore,"
And he's really mad because he feeds on misery and Darkwing Duck ruined his meal.
So he finally comes out of Banana Brain and he's now Paddywack officially.
Yep. Because Quackerjack says, no doll's going to boss me around. Yeah. So Paddywack comes out and says, "Well then, maybe now you can be the doll." And that's how Act 1 ends, with him laughing. And do our listeners a favor if they haven't seen the episode. I mean, if you haven't, what are you waiting for? Watch it. Describe Paddywack, Will.
Oh, to me, he looks like the clown from It.
Pennywise. Yeah. A little bit. Yeah, half of him is black, half of him is white. He's got these long, spidery arms and legs, tiny, demented eyes, and a big beak full of sharp fangs. And he drools. And Quackerjack's like, "Very nice drool, though."
We don't see him until the 13-minute mark, where we finally see him, not his shadow.
And
13 minutes.
That's about halfway through the episode. More than halfway through the episode.
Yep.
And so he comes out of Banana Brain and decides to suck up Quackerjack into the Jack in the Box.
Yeah, so Banana Brain goes in there first.
Yes.
And then all of Quackerjack clothes gets ripped off. This is the first time the only time we ever see Quackerjack not in his normal uniform.
Yeah, his jester hat gets ripped off, and he just has a bald head.
Yeah, his head looks so funny shaped too, man.
I feel like nobody wanted to bother coming up with an actual hatless Quacker Jack design. So they're just like, oh, forget it. We'll just give him a bald head. Because it's seen for a split second. You don't really get a good look at it.
Yeah.
But down below, Darkwing, Launchpad, and Goslin are on the Ratcatcher, and they hear Quacker Jack. They hear him scream. The staging of this scene is really cool. Darkwing, he brings a Ratcatcher up to the roof, and only Launchpad, he looks from the side of the sidecar and just catches a glimpse of Quacker Jack being pulled into the Jack in the Box, like dragging his fingers across the roof. Like it's kind of creepy. And Launchpad freaks out. He's like, this thing ain't Quacker Jack.
But Darkwing's still blaming Goslin though. He's still blaming her.
Darkwing gets a great scene here. It's like one of those things he doesn't usually do, and I love it. Darkwing's like, when Launchpad tells him it ain't Quacker Jack, Darkwing puts his arm in the Jack in the Box and then starts to scream. And when Launchpad runs over, Darkwing goes, Launchpad, get a grip. It's just a toy. Really, really great. So yeah, they take the Jack in the Box back to the hideout so they can bring it back to the museum in the morning.
Yeah, and then Goslin, she decides to throw the Jack in the Box into the vault.
But it's right there on the table when they come back to it.
Yeah, it reappears right behind Launchpad.
But by now, Paddywack has come out of the box and is trying to scare Darkwing.
Yeah, he starts blowing on him and freezes his beak and stuff.
Yes, because Darkwing's sitting up on the high console trying to figure out what Quacker Jack's doing. And then blows on his beak and freezes his beak and then tries to scare him from the monitor. And Darkwing looks at the camera and goes, oh no, I am so scared.
Yeah. He still thinks it's Goslin, right, at this point, doesn't he?
Yes. Yes, he still thinks it's Goslin. So yeah, at this point, Paddywack has Darkwing's chair floating in the air, and Darkwing's like, I don't know how she's doing this, but I know she's doing it. And then Quacker Jack throws him off of the platform, knocks him on the ground. Did I say Quacker Jack? I meant Paddywack.
Yeah, Paddywack.
Paddywack. And then Darkwing's like, Goslin, about your practical jokes. And Goslin's like, Dad, I didn't do it. And Darkwing looks up, and you see his eyes go wide, and he goes, I think I'm ready to believe you. Yeah. And they turn around, and what do they see?
They see Paddywack.
Will you play with me? And another great act break, because it gets dark except for his red eyes. Really, really, really great. Like, both act breaks with Paddywack are really, really cool. Like, he's such a great design. I love him.
Yeah.
So when we come back from commercial, it's them telling the story. Launchpad is so scared he must have had a heart attack because Darkwing has his arm, he's doing his blood pressure, and he goes, okay, he's stabilized. You can keep going.
Yeah, and then Darkwing thinks it's Quacker Jack who sent Paddywack.
Nope. He goes, Quacker Jack was just a minor player. And he says, certainly not in our league. And he's referring to Goslin. And, he's like, you pranks, mischief. He's like, you Goslin, you woke me up with that joy buzzer.
Oh, yeah. Darkwing looks at her like, I knew it. He doesn't say it, but he gives her that look like, I knew it was you this whole time.
But at this point, there's no time for him to get mad at Goslin. You see, he's actually holding her tight. Like, she's scared because this guy you don't know what this guy's going to do. He's creepy.
Yeah, but Paddywack screws up here, though. He tells him his whole plot. He tells him that he feeds off human misery.
Oh, says Darkwing, is that how you stay so thin? And then a great thing with Paddywack, he gets really mad and his head inflates like a balloon and explodes. And Darkwing goes, okay, Mr. Inflatable Brain.
Yeah, and Darkwing tries to fight him. He does a kick or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he breaks into like a million little pieces and then puts himself back together. Like, Paddywack is being nice and friendly to an extent, but he's still so creepy that you're still like bothered by him, Yeah. And he's like, you know what? If that's what your attitude, I'll just leave. But I'm not going to invite you to the party. Who is invited to the party?
Oh, Darkwing. No. He was trying to get Goslin.
Yeah, he says Quacker Jack, the delightful Banana Brain fellow, and Goslin. Yeah. So he tries to suck Goslin into the Jack in the Box.
Yeah, it doesn't work though. Darkwing switches places with her. He goes
in. Yeah. He has a full to finish, he says.
Yeah.
So he
But
ends up in the Jack in the Box.
Yeah, when Darkwing appears, though, he's not in his usual Darkwing outfit.
No, he's a clown. He keeps trying to rip the outfit off, but every time he does, he's still wearing a clown outfit.
Yeah. It kind of looks like a circus inside of the Jack in the Box.
A very demented circus.
Yeah.
And then we see Quacker Jack. We haven't seen him for a while. What's Quacker Jack wearing?
He's wearing a suit.
Yeah, and even a little like brown toupee under the hat. He has a briefcase and everything. Even Banana Brain has a suit on.
Yeah. And Quacker Jack offers to team up with Darkwing.
Team up with you? Ha! That's a laugh.
Yeah.
And then
Darkwing agrees to it right away, though.
yeah. And Quacker Jack says, if I stay in here, I'll go crazy. Darkwing goes, go. So they do. Darkwing says, let's get ridiculous. Yeah. So they decide to torment Paddywack now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they kind of like, they're teamed up, they're laughing it off, and they're pranking each other.
And then they start, yep.
Yeah, then they start pranking Paddywack.
They drop a piano on him. They hit him with a giant boxing glove. They run him over with a truck.
With a train. Oh, was it a truck? I thought it was a train.
Well, it says, Darkwing says, did you get the number of that truck? And Quacker Jack goes, no, but I got the truck. Waka waka. So Quacker Jack does Fozzie Bear, waka waka. And Quacker Jack also lisps like Daffy Duck. Yeah. So Quacker Jack's doing all the impressions. It lets me truly express myself. And then he goes waka waka.
Yeah, and then Paddywack starts to shrink though.
Yeah, because they're depriving him of pranks. They're starving him.
Yeah, he even mentions that he's beginning to starve.
And then Banana Brain goes, is this when we show him love and kindness and he promises to mend his evil ways? And they go, nah. And they zap him with a joy buzzer and he lands on a whoopee cushion.
Yeah, it made the farting sound too.
And they go, ooh, goodness.
Yeah, Paddywack says he doesn't want to play anymore, Mike. He
can dish it out, but he can't take it.
Yeah, he's done. He's had enough.
Great animation when he finally loses it and tells him to go home. The entire screen shatters. Yeah. Really great. And Darkwing and Quacker Jack is thrown out of the Jack in the Box. And you know what's really weird? Quacker Jack gets thrown out of the Jack in the Box, but you don't see him after that.
Yeah, we don't see him after that, yeah.
Nothing happens. He doesn't talk. You don't see him at all. You have no idea, what happens to him.
Or Banana Brain. Yeah, they don't show neither one of them. Yeah.
Does he go to jail? Does Darkwing let him go? Because he didn't really do anything wrong. Come on. Mm-hmm. It's what happens after that? He just gets thrown out, and that's it. Yeah. What do they decide to do with the Jack in the Box?
They decide to drop it at the bottom of the bridge in the river.
And a fish eats it.
Mm-hmm. And then LP's excited. The story has a happy ending. It's over.
Yeah, because all Darkwing stories have a happy ending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the trio, we hear Paddywack's voice, and they go running over to the ledge of the bridge.
And you see the fish. It has Paddywack's face. Yep. And it goes, yes, yes, and dives in the water. And then you just see them all looking at each other like, oh, no. Launchpad looks terrified. A great Launchpad drawing to end the episode. He is freaked out. Yeah. But we never do see him again in the show, Paddywack. We get him again in the comics.
We got him in the 2017 Darkwing DuckTales reboot.
DuckTales, yeah, we do get him again. You know, it's kind of cool. They did bring him back for that. I will give them that. They brought him back. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we went through our plot pretty quickly because the interview took up some time, and I want to give you a chance, Will, to rate the episode and talk about it a little bit.
All right, so Mike, let's get your rating first because everybody knows what my rating is going to be.
Yeah. I don't want to disappoint you. I can't give it a 5.
No.
Because I feel a couple of things could have been even better. I think the animation could have been a little bit better. It's good, but it could have been better. And I feel like they could have done so much with Paddywack, but by making us wait half an episode for him.
Yeah, 13 minutes.
I feel like he shows up on the bridge with them, and then the episode's almost over. Because the opening, they waste a lot of time in the museum at the beginning of the episode. So it's a little imbalanced, but I'll still be super, super, super generous because this is a great episode. I'll still give it a 4.5.
All right. Hey, Mike. Yeah.
You know I reserve fives for very special episodes.
All right, this is my favorite episode, and I just love this one. There's nothing I don't like about this one. Animation, voice acting. I'm giving it an infinity. I'm not even giving it a 5. Infinity.
Before you go on, when did you first see it?
Oh, I didn't see it until Toon Disney, man.
So did you love it from like first sight?
Oh, first sight, I loved it. Loved it, man.
Go on. I think you have time. Go on.
Okay. Well, there's several reasons why I love this episode. We get Banana Brain. I know it's Paddywack, but to me as a Quacker Jack fan, you get that whole kind of 5 to 6 minutes where even though it's Paddywack possessing Banana Brain, I still see Banana Brain. And for me, it's exciting as a Quacker Jack fan to see Banana Brain kind of dominate and have his own role for a little while. And Quacker Jack is just sitting back there loving it. To me, even though Quacker Jack's in this episode, he still kind of takes the backseat to Banana Brain and Paddywack, in my opinion.
Yes.
He really does.
This is the episode that made Banana Brain iconic.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one.
And then, we got Darkwing at the beginning with his ego, as always, hyping up this episode. But then it kind of slowly drifts, and Gosling takes over the episode. So we're hearing something from Gosling's point of view for a change.
Yeah,
and I love that.
Darkwing doesn't narrate any of the episode.
Yeah, not at all.
All Gosling and Launchpad. He never puts his 2 cents in, ever, during the narration.
Yeah, and then, Launchpad, I love how he just shook the whole episode. He is scared. Man, I'm telling you, to me, it's laughter. Because we even barely even see Launchpad. And he doesn't have that much dialogue in this episode. But to me, just hearing him throughout the episode. And then, Mike, come on, Phil Hartman as Paddywack.
That was a stroke of genius.
Yes.
What I was going to say about Launchpad's part of the narration, having Launchpad be scared is a really big contributor to the mood of this episode. It's spooky, but the fact that Launchpad is truly terrified, it kind of makes you wonder where this episode's going to go. If Launchpad wasn't so scared, it wouldn't be as interesting an episode, I think. Like the fact that even Darkwing's that wasn't one of my favorite cases. It's do we need this to give the episode such a great feeling of mood? That's why it works so well.
Yeah, man. And, like I was saying with the Phil Hartman thing, though, I already knew who he was on The Simpsons. I'll be honest with you. As soon as I heard his voice, I was like, I know that voice somewhere. At that time, there was really no internet, so I couldn't pull up my phone or something like that. I did have the internet back then. No, not what year is this episode?
1992.
No, so I did not have the internet.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah, I didn't have the internet till 97, 98.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I knew Hartman from season 2 when he started on The Simpsons.
Okay.
Hi, I'm actor Troy McClure. You might remember me from such films as blah blah blah. That was Phil Hartman.
Yeah.
He was great.
Mike, man, I'm not gonna lie. After I saw this episode for the first time, I instantly fell in love with it. I didn't see it again for years, man. It really hurt me that I couldn't find it anywhere. Just would not come on or at least I didn't catch it on Toon Disney when they started rerunning it often.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, luckily now it's on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah.
Didn't make it to DVD, but at least now it's easy to see.
Yeah. And you actually stole my animation scene I was gonna say with the shattering at the end.
Oh, the screen exploding.
Yeah. Oh, that was going to be my spoiler.
Han Ho Wang Up, usually we would rag on them a little bit, but they did a good job in this one.
Yeah. And the last thing I'm going to mention about the episode, man, the Jack in the Box. I love that Dev hit how important the Jack in the Box was. And the first time we really saw Darkwing on Ducktales. Was it the first time or the second time? But remember when the episode with Cracker Jack, the whole episode started.
Yes, that was the first time.
Yeah, the first thing you see is the Jack in the Box, and you hear that song, the Pop Goes the Weasel.
Yep.
Yeah. So, oh my God, when I saw that on the new Ducktales, I just went bananas.
I'm gonna make an assumption that this episode is one of Frank Angonis' favorites, considering how many times he referenced it.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Because remember in the episode where you see Paddywack, Mrs. Beakley's confused about how the whole Paddywack Banana Brain worked in the episode, and Launchpad's like, you're getting confused in the lore.
Yeah, because she was asking him, she was like, wait, so let me get it. Banana Brain is possessed by Paddywack, and something with Cracker Jack. She was like kind of all confused about it, and he was trying to explain it.
Launchpad's like, stop.
Yeah, man. So I definitely, man, this is just a top tier episode. This is number 1 for me, man. Easily for me.
Good.
Easily. All right,
Good.
so now we got to rate a villain, man.
We are running out of these villains to rate, but we definitely have a good one here.
Yep. So you go ahead first, Mike.
Okay, I debated whether I should just go full 5 on him because the combo of the design and Phil Hartman really helps a lot. So I'm just gonna give him a straight out 5. I think if you would ask people who is like the best one-shot bad guy, this guy and Mega Negaduck come up a lot.
They do.
We haven't gotten to Mega Negaduck yet.
Yeah.
But the two of them come up a lot. I think that those two and the Steerminator are like the best one-shot villain designs because all 3 of them are just so cool. Yeah. And again, Phil Hartman, like I got to give it a 5 just because I miss the guy. I think he was amazing. And I have to just give Paddywack a full 5.
Yeah, same here, man. I'm not even going to debate you. You said everything I wanted to say. Every time we talk about one-shot villains, Paddywack name always comes up with everybody, you know?
Remember that great drawing Tad Stones did of Negaduck and Quackerjack in the sewer with Paddywack as Pennywise, and they're both terrified of him? Mm-hmm. But even Tad Stone knows how great Paddywack is.
So did Dev create Paddywack?
Well, she wrote the episode.
Yeah, so she created him, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, but she has more pride in Morgana though.
Well, she was an ongoing character, so of course.
Okay.
But Tad might have had something to do with his creation. As story editor, he probably worked pretty closely with Dev, so they might have come up with it together.
Okay. All right, so that's the triumphant triumph of Darkwing Duck, aka The Haunting of Mr. Banana Brain, my favorite episode. I'm sad we're not gonna get to talk about this episode again, Mike.
We're not going to be talking about Quackerjack much at all after this. Actually, this is the last one with Banana Brain. He is an Ingelbird.
Yeah.
So that's it with him.
Yeah. Well, you got to keep reminding me, man. You suck.
Because it's better to remind you now than to realize later that you haven't seen him.
You know what, Mike? After we finish this podcast, man, I shouldn't be wasting our time on this, but I think maybe you should review some of the comics, man. Like, get into some of the stories.
We could. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
All right, so let's wrap this episode up, Mike, unless you got something to say real quick.
No, let's just talk. The next episode, I was going to say which one that one was. We're taking a bit of a nosedive. The last 2 have been really good episodes. We're talking about next week. Slime okay, you're okay. A Bushroot episode. I feel like it's been a while since Bushroot.
Yeah,
got some interesting stuff in it, but it's one of those episodes I like less as I get older. It's a very uncomfortable episode. I'll explain why next week. Do you have any thoughts before?
One of those episodes I always thought it was decent. It's just the fact that it's behind Binky's brain and Honey Banana Brain. It kind of hurts it, you know?
Yeah, we'll talk about it all next week.
Yeah. All right. So, Mike, where can they listen to us, man, for the first time checking us out?
All right. Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, YouTube, if you want to watch us on YouTube, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and also your Alexa will play the episode for you. If you ask it to play the St. Canard files, it'll play the most recent episode. I think that's all of them. Will, do you have any shout-outs?
Deb Ross and Phil Hartman. Those are my shout-outs.
You know what's great? We've been dying to get this episode out because we recorded with Dev. Was it over the summer?
Man, it was a long time ago, man.
And we've been sitting on this part of the interview for months.
Yep.
And so yes, Dev, I hope you're listening. But thank you so much. You wrote a great one, and of course, rest in peace to the great Phil Hartman.
Yeah, rest in peace, Phil. All right, guys, so that's it for The Haunting of Mr. Banana Brain, Mike. No. Oh, man. Thank you guys for checking us out. And remember to stay dangerous.
Have a good night, Inflato Brains.
Huh? What? Ooh, yes, yes.